So today we're going to look at, in Unit 5, we're going to look at Unit 5, the project genre. And one of the options for this project is to make a poster reviewing and explaining and giving examples of the following. So poems, fairy tales, informational text, and dramas. These are all different genres or different types of text that we've learned about in our reading and composition course so far. So you could go ahead on a piece of paper, if you were going to make a poster, you could go ahead and you could draw 4 boxes, kind of like I did up here, and then write one fact or draw one thing that describes each genre. So think about poems, what we learned about poems, what we've learned about informational text, drama, and fairy tales. So just to review, poems are texts. People who write poems are called poets. Poets share messages about feelings and ideas. They put their words in creative patterns of lines. In a poem, a line is a line of words, like on notebook paper. Poets can create any patterns of lines they like. Rhyming is one kind of pattern of lines. Many poems have rhyming patterns, but poems do not have to rhyme. A pattern can also be based on words that repeat. So I just reviewed some good information with you about poems. And I'm going to remind you right now, too, that poems do not have to rhyme. So we'll remember that some poems rhyme, but not all poems will. So maybe you want to use that for your fact about poems, that not all poems rhyme. Or maybe you want to pick one of these other facts that we mentioned and use that for your fact about poems. Let's take a look at fairy tales. It says in fairy tales, the characters are made up. Fairy tales are stories with magical characters. They could be dragons, fairies, or mermaids. They might also do magic with wands or spells. Read these other features of fairy tales. They often have kings and queens. Not all of the characters have to be magical. They usually start with once upon a time, and they usually end with they lived happily ever after. Now, not all fairy tales will start with once upon a time or they lived happily ever after, but a lot of them do. So Cinderella is an example of a fairy tale. Can you think of another fairy tale that you've read? Maybe you've even seen the movie about it. So for fairy tales, you could draw a picture of your favorite fairy tale, or you could write the title or draw one fact or write one fact about fairy tales. So let's take a look now at informational text. So informational text, these are texts with fact-based information on a topic. It will have central idea and supporting evidence. And notice this word informational, it has the smaller word information in it. So I want you to remember that informational text, these are going to be text. These are going to be readings that you read that give you information. So maybe you want to learn information about how to become a better swimmer. So maybe you read an article about things you can do and practice you can do to be a better swimmer. That would be an informational text. So things like newspapers, magazines, a lot of times will be informational text. Autobiographies are going to be a lot of times informational text. So these are all good examples of informational text where you can go to find information. So right back up here on your poster where it says informational text, you can write one fact or draw one thing that describes an informational text. And the last one we're going to review is drama. Drama is a text that is meant to be performed. So in your reading and composition course, we read a drama, The Timid Hare. And remember, Timid Hare over here, this was about a bunny who was feeling a little bit timid, a little bit scared. And if you notice in dramas, we have characters, right? We have characters that are speaking. And so a drama is meant to be performed. So here we had Timid Hare and Brother Hare. This drama, they were speaking to each other out loud. So we can remember that when we're reading dramas, A lot of times when we're reading dramas, our voices when we're reading, like here, Timid Hare says, "Oh dear, oh dear." So notice that when we're reading dramas, we'll make sure that our voices match what we're reading, okay, so that we can give that expression. So this is an example of a drama. Back here on your poster where it says drama, you will want to make sure that you either give one example, one fact, or draw a picture that would describe a drama. So hopefully that helps with your assignment. Please feel free, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can always make an appointment through my Calendly link, and I would be happy to help as well.